Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly series of knowledge sharing sessions organized as part of HR Summer Carnival from NAPM Kerala chapter. Before we get into the session today, a brief about HR Summer Carnival. This is an yearly activity which NAPM Kerala chapter has been doing events between March to June for the year. There are a few flagship events that we have been running through between March to June. To talk about it, we'll take few minutes to start from there. We have a dedicated work stream which focus on trying to bring the women talent, which is called Launcher. And this event is trying to ensure that we bring the best among the women fraternity on a pan-India basis. We have a dedicated work stream which is trying to bring the best of knowledge through an NAPM business quiz. There are a few trials for which the posters are on. We did have a social media circulation that happened earlier this weekend from a point of view, how do we attract talent for our business quiz. There are a few prelims happening, and then we do have a finals which is planned in the later part of June in Kochi. We have our dedicated work stream which is trying to bring in the best of DA talent. In fact, last weekend there was a DA masterclass that happened as a hybrid mode, right? Having set of people in Cochin face to face, and then a dedicated set of people who also joined virtually. A DA masterclass that happened last weekend in Cochin in a hybrid mode, and we are also trying to bring the best of the DA best practices, a kind of knowledge sharing in the later part of June in Cochin. That's another live event. Uh, we are also trying to bring the best of the talents as part of the DA Awards, which is going to be a part of key flagship event. And we are a part of the NIPM audio rooms. We started in March, and we are glad to say that we have been running this series for the 14th consecutive week. Every Thursday, 8 to 9, we try to bring in experts from the industry who could share us knowledge, insights from the industry. And we are glad that we have been able to do it for the 14th consecutive week. All this will be possible only with the support of people like you who join us and cheer and support us for a regularly on a weekly basis. We are glad that all the sessions that we do have been live in various NAPM social media forums, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and we're glad that we almost had no century of participants in all the live sessions that you have been doing. This is thanks to all the participants who have joined us for all our lively sessions and spreading the wings as part of connecting the sessions. And it is also possible to do these events only if there is no successful event sponsors and champions who support us. So we would like to acknowledge the key sponsors who are supporting our events today. We have the audio rooms, which is the 14th edition, which is powered by H3 Consultants Private Limited. We have Cochin International Airport Limited, which is going to sponsor our NAPM quiz business quiz, and this will be hosted by India Wants to Know, which is an India's leading quizzing company. Our launcher initiative, which is focused on women talent, is sponsored by Soodkey India Private Limited. The DA masterclass that happened last week was sponsored by Ergo Consulting, and then the DA awards are going to be sponsored by VGuard. Apart from this, we also have Federal Bank India, who's onboarded us as part of our preferred banking partner. So thank you for all the sponsors who are supporting the Summer Carnival, which is a festival of events. And there is a kind of grand finale that we are going to put up later part of June in Kochi. So do stay tuned for more updates. Now coming to the session today, right? As part of the knowledge sharing sessions that we do, technology has been a key change, that is driving us everywhere. We speak about the pre-COVID, post-COVID, a lot of technology changes that are driving us. So we thought, let's try to take a few minutes today to understand the technology trends that are evolving around us and bring in an expert who could share more insights to us. A brief about the speaker today. We have with us today Satish Rajarathnam, who is Senior Vice President and HR and Global Head Talent Transformation from Emphasis. Satish joins us today with close to 25 years of professional experience, and is a seasoned human resource professional who has held various HR leadership positions across various industries. While currently he's working with Emphasis, some of the leadership span across industries that he has worked are Cognizant, HCL Technologies, and Siemens notably. Satish has been in the helm of strategic sourcing, organization change management, HR business consulting, and agile transformation, as well as part of leadership and talent management initiatives. Satish has also taken time to be a part of various industry groups and associations, notably SHRM, Six Sigma, and few more that we could recognize. He has also been somebody who has driven functional excellence for himself. He's a recipient of many awards. Some of the key awards, he is one of the Forbes top 30 talent leaders of 2023. Forbes top 30 leaders, which is really a kind of unique thing that we can hear about. He is one of the Asia's 100 HR power leaders. He is one of the Global HR Achievers Award in 2022, and as well as Indian Achievers Award in 2021. and he's one of the top 10 100 HR Tech Minds Award. And glad that now we have a person like this with us. Satish, outside his experience with HR, he's also built as a reputation as a TEDx speakers. Right, there are many of his sessions which is available in social media platform. A lot of insights when you hear to Satish in some of those TEDx talks. He's also an entertainer. In fact, one of the interesting factors, he's also an illusionist and a mentalist. He has worked on over 1,300 performances in associations with various corporate houses and international work groups, right? So beyond HR, he has taken time to drive his passions. And he also believes in giving back to the society. He's associated with an NGO in Udom Karangal, an orphanage at Chennai, and he's also a corporate advisory board member with Chandigarh University. In terms of giving back to the society through his knowledge, he has also authored a book on artificial intelligence, co-authored 2 books on HR, and has 8 patent applications published. Right? He's a research scholar from Swiss School of Management, Geneva, and a postgraduate in general management from Indian School of Business and National University of Singapore. So, on behalf of NAPM Kerala chapter, we would like to invite Satish for our session today. Satish, thank you so much for joining us and taking time. We are all here to hear from you in terms of the technology trends and how the future of HR is going to shape up. Audience, we would invite you to keep the session engaged. Whatever audio forums you are joining us today through LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, just ensure the chat is live and upstate so that we can stay connected and we will moderate the show. So we'll hear from Satish initially, before we come to the kind of interactive session. What do you say?
Thank you, Murli. Thank you all for joining in. I know it's 8 p.m. on a weekday. A lot to be done, right? With, I think, Murli setting the context and the introduction, I think I need to live up to that as well. So let me put in the best foot forward to share the little gray hair that I have out there and also take back. So it's not just one way, like what Murli said. They've been doing this every week, and there's been learning feedback and feed forward as well. So I'm open to both as well. And these are sessions where we contribute and take back as well from the forum, from the society, from all of the learned people in this forum, right? Just to set the context quickly around how technology is transforming or transformed. I'm going to go a little generic. I'm going to then talk about what I've experienced personally and what worked for me and my team in the current organization and in the past as well. And then we'll open up to QA, right? Now, having said this, I'm sure you guys would have heard the bomb hoax that came up recently, right? That's in the US, next to DC, Pentagon building, and so on. Wow, what a threat, right? It came up for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then the news went silent. Then we got to know it's a generated image that came out, right? Guys, whilst we talk about technology that's helping us, technology can also disrupt a lot of what we think what it shouldn't be, right? So I'm going to start with that note of how we can use technology for the best part for us. How can we augment technology, or supplement in few cases and most cases, and how do we tag along, right? For that, I think the first misnomer is that, look, tech is going to disrupt, tech is going to change the way we are. Yes, it will. Is tech is going to change our job? To me, I don't think so. But definitely technology is going to elevate our competencies to a large extent. And that's the way that I look at it. Take the same example, right? I saw a video in one of the LinkedIn, right, which spoke about when calculators were invented, you had the profs and the deans on the road saying, don't allow children to use calculator. They have to start writing the theorem and practice and all of those stuff. But look at where we are today, right? So that's a big shift. And I'm sure all of us would have known the camera company that didn't want to move initially from a film to digital, and you know what happened then, right? There are multiple use cases like that where technology disrupted, but eventually only helped end users, consumers like us, to get things done much faster than what it used to be, right? So the way that I look at technology, though it's disrupting a lot, but it's only going to help us move faster, in the stride forward, right? That's the way that I look at technology and enablement. Just some data point on that perspective, right? It is estimated that in the pace at which we are transforming or digitizing, for want of better words, across the globe, this is the study that's been done. We're looking at about 40% of the occupation that can be potentially automated or digitized to a large extent. When I say that, it might impact anywhere between 420 million to 524 million occupation globally, as it's a big number even to write it down and kind of look at it, right? So that's a disruption we are looking at, from technology kind of stepping into our walk of life on a day-to-day basis, right? Take the same example. How many of you guys go to bank, right? In yesteryears, for me to open my bank with the gray hair, I don't know, Murli and Ajish, if I can put you guys into the same bucket and age group, but for me to open a bank account took about approximately about 4 to 5 days, right? Walked into a bank, it's a nationalized bank. We went in, I had to take my dad. Dad was an account holder out there. He has to give a recommendation letter. There has to be, all the address proofs, whatnot, right? Your ID cards to everything you need to pledge there saying, yeah, you are who you are. That's the way it used to happen long back. But today, you walk into a bank, right? Your left thumb talks about everything, right? Your Aadhaar will give you the entire history. Yeah, within no minute, right? You want to buy, let's say you want to buy a mobile connection. In yesteryears, we used to have this Nokia mobile phone like a pencil box. For us to get a SIM card and activate it took about a week to 10 days. But today it doesn't take more than 7 to 10 seconds, right? If I were to put it, if not exaggerating. You again walk in, your thumb impression talks about your Aadhaar, pre-activated SIM card is given, you load it and you walk out with a pre-activated SIM card, you start talking over it. So that's how technology is enabling us to propel much faster in the walk of life that we are, right? Now, whilst we talk about that from an HR perspective, right? How is HR? How is technology transforming HR, right? Think about it. From the time the entire life cycle of talent happens, from the time you want to attract talent, today you have video JDs, right? For you to kind of post out and saying, hey, no more boring 2 page of job description. You post it into a job portal or a job board and so on, and ask the potential incumbent to read through and come back, right? Today we have video JDs that just talks about in 30 seconds saying, hey guys, you know what, you're going to get into this role, this is what you'll be doing, this is our company, this is our culture, this is where you will get towards, right? 30 seconds, it sums up the entire role, and that kind of excites potential candidate to look forward and say, look, this is interesting to me. Yeah, you have the line manager, you have the product manager, you have the retail manager, you have the head of the function saying, this is what you're going to work with, what more do I need? Instead of reading a document which is boring for about 2 pages, in 30 seconds you get to see a video that attracts much better in terms of footfall, right? There we talk about technology. Second, that technology in itself today, right? The way that we are envisioning is offer letters are going to have augmented video messages from leaders in the organization. Think about it, right? Offer letter goes out with a video, a personalized video by the leader. Think about it. That's the transformation we're getting in. We are saying, hey, welcome to our organization. This is what it is. You need to go down and click this button to look at your compensation, benefits, and packages. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You'll be reporting it to me starting tomorrow. And this is a personalized offer that getting out to candidates at large. Look at the impact that it creates at an offer stage, right? We saw in sourcing stage in terms of video JDs, video interviews, and so on. But in offer stages, look at the transformation we've gone up to. Yeah. And in between is where we need the selection criteria. How is tech transformed there? Well, you have the proctored video interviews, right? Whilst I'm talking, I'm consciously doing the scratching and looking here and looking there. End of the session, the generative AI will tell me, look, these are certain topics that you try to recall what you've done before. This is NLP, not the natural language processing, but the neural linguistic programming. When I do a left eyeball, left up, I think the psychologist here would know about it. I'm trying to cook up something and try to bring it inside to this forum, right? So all of these algorithms are built in when you do, a proctored interview as well. So end of half an hour, 45 minutes of an interview, the application, your AI model will throw out saying, hey, 60% confidence, Satish talks good in this subject. With 20% confidence, he is really good in this specific area. But in 10%, he needs to improve. You might want to recheck his skill set around this. It's to that extent today, generative AI has gone involved, and that's what we've been using in most cases as well. We use a proctor tool as well from a video perspective. Not just that, today or in the pandemic times, we saw, I'm sure most of you guys will put your hand up if I ask, how many of you guys saw moonlighting at its peak, right? Candidates applying for multiple jobs, candidates picking up multiple offers, candidates working through multiple companies. But today, most of them are getting caught out because you have multiple PF accounts. You get into yuan verification at a click of a button, it throws out everything out, right? All of these are tech driven, guys. So this is from a attract, sourcing, selection, and offer perspective. Just move on, right? From a life cycle perspective, once you attract, you need to kind of manage performance. Today, everything is generative, right? If you, for one of OpenAI, I'm going to quote ChatGPT because that's pretty famous. Bard is another one that's come up significantly and picked up. Everybody, Microsoft is pushing something through Azure. Everybody is now talking about OpenAI, and everybody is now building in the algorithms to kind of make life simpler. Yeah. Having said this, from a performance perspective, if you integrate this OpenAI algorithms, it'll go pick up all that you've done in the past 1 year from your mailbox, from your allied systems that you have. And finally, it will say, hey, Satish, in the past 1 year, these are achievements you've done. These were your goals. These are misses you've done. These are learnings you've done. And hence you can package this as your performance document. How easy it is, right? Instead of sitting in and writing and thinking for 3, 4, 5 days, thinking what I've done the last 1 year, going through all your manager's emails, previous project emails, accomplishments, mails from customer, your AI is going to pick all these from your system and throw out a concise format. You just copy paste and just move on, right, guys? That's the power of generative AI we're talking about, and ML, and we're going to talk about AR, VR also during the course, during the interaction that we're going to have, right? That's from a performance standpoint, right? It picks up areas that you've already contributed, put them onto a scorecard, and give you, Satish, I think with whatever we've seen, the algorithm that's picked up, you've accomplished 9 out of 10, and hence you might be rated 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5, and it's up to your manager to kind of move up or move down, right? Making life simpler, right? Click of a button, all these happens. Move on. Think about today, everybody talks about LXP. Nobody talks about e-learning. Nobody just talks about learning platform. Everybody's talking about LXP. What is LXP? Learning experience. Yeah. When I log in, we have a patented product internally in our company. When I log in, it picks up my profile from the time I've hired. It will generate my skill set. It will populate and say, look, Satish, you've done HR, but prior to HR, you've done tech. If you want to move towards technology, career ladders, or skill portfolio, these are the options that you can go behind. But if you want to move towards functional consulting or agile transformation consulting, these are learnings that you can opt for. And when you pick this learning, this is where you will move towards. This is your career journey at emphasis. So everything is machine learning driven, right? The algorithms are pre-keyed in. It picks up my persona in the past. It picks up my data from HCM, from what I've contributed to the organization. Also picks up my profile from social portal, picks up my profile from whatever that I acquired from a skill perspective during my tenure in the organization. It does all of these and say, this is your learning path, right? So that's the LXP that you're talking about. Even LXP is today, you have your web, you have your AR, VR. That's the thing that's happening. Who would want to go attend a 2-day workshop on, let's say, time management or things like that, right? It's all gone. Today, everything has become bite-sized learning. You push a button, a mobile phone or any handheld device that you have, in 30 seconds, in 1 minute, you have a crux of, hey, what is Scrum? Hey, what is anger management? What is time management, right? Everything is now precise and concise to the T, right? Because our average attention span has also shrunk because we wanted everything to be here and now and much faster. Yeah. So that's from a learning perspective, right? We've moved on. Most significant part of all of these technology impacting today from an employee standpoint is the EXP, your employee experience quotient that you're even talking about, right? Today, that's on top of anything along with DEI. So those are two hot topics where tech is now put to best use thanks to pandemic. And I will look at the positive side to it, because thanks to pandemic, last 2 years, we've kind of put to use the best of all technology to create the employee experience, the EX that if I want to put it. Yeah, everything is through what we do, right? One example that I quote, we run the employee recognition program on a metaverse. Everything is metaverse. You log into a portal, you suddenly see that you're on a cruise. You can get on from a cruise into any of the islands or any of the countries that you wanted to. You will have your leaders there virtually. You get greeted there. You walk in, you get recognized, get the award with the family. You can take a selfie, in the cruise with the leaders, with your colleagues and peers, right? To that extent. So the all the Ant-Man movie, all the Marvel movies that you see, we made that reality in the last 2 years. So that's the way we created employee experience, right? With the family, you sit in front of your large screen or your laptop, and you traverse with your peers, with your friends, with your families for a corporate event, right? Which is a recognition event. Look at the transformation, right? So it's to that extent that we've kind of grown from a technology perspective as well, right? There are multiple avenues, guys. I can keep going on and on, but predominantly every aspect of employee life cycle, right from attract, deploy, develop, perform, and even the HCM part of the exit management, right? Leave application, for example, today you pick up a mobile phone, say I want to apply for leave. It will throw up, the bot will throw up saying you have so many paid leaves, so many casual leaves, so many medical leave. I'll say, look, click one, go for medical leave, and it'll say, okay, thank you, we've applied. It goes in as a ping, as an SMS or a WhatsApp, or as a pop-up to your manager. Manager says approved. It's all done in HCM. No more getting into logging into an HCM, then applying for leave with a reason, with all those stuff. Then wait for few hours, gets into manager. Manager approve, may not approve. You have to follow up, write an email. All those are done, guys. So all these examples that I'm quoting is how do we left shift our mundane procedural processes that can be done, the repetitive process we're talking about, if those can be left shifted towards technology, right? But having said this, the crux still remains the decision is something that humans can only take. Whether you take sourcing, the score could be 70, 80, 90% fitment to the JD, but eventually a recruiter will know how much will fit in to a role, or what will the customer want to kind of pick up, whether it's an 80% match guy, 90% match guy, or 60% match guy. Right? No matter what technology that comes in, the example that I give you on the calculator, yeah, no matter what example that we give, sorry, I think I have some latency. Give all that we see is about feeling at the end to take the decision. Yeah, so it'll only be a need. It could be a supplement, replace human decision, at least in the near future that I'm seeing. Yeah. So with that, I will pause. Consciously, I'm not quoting most of the names, maybe ChatGPT 4 or 5 that may be common, Bard or copy.ai or deepfake. There are multiple such tools out there to convert into an image as well. Yeah, look at the feasibility, right? We've developed a algorithm where you scan a picture and post it to the application. It will write the code for that entire application in no time. Yeah, so inventions have gone much beyond than what we think. It is about how do we put that to best use. And having said that, with the last component, guys, with all these the cybersecurity part, right, for want of quote unquote better words, it is about privacy and how do you run this and how do you govern this, which is very, very critical. I think that is where the engines are getting fine-tuned whilst we are talking. Because of the first 2, 3, 4, 5 areas we spoke about, it's much easier to deploy, pick up codes, integrate that into your internal systems. But then if that's going to invade, if that's going to be pervasive into the personal space, into your PI information and things like that, and that is something that we need to watch out for. And that's why you need to have good amount of checks and balances through technology as well. Yeah. So with that, I will take a pause. Murli, let's just make it much more interactive than what it is. So that's my perspective on what's going to be future of HR. Maybe the roles would change. All of us, or most of us, would be saying, look, I'm a chief data analyst, right? I'm a chief technology HR architect. Roles are going to transform significantly as well, right? While you're talking. Yeah. Murli, on to you.
So thank you, Satish, for sharing those insights. As a quick recap of what we were hearing in the last few minutes, the bank example was very apt in terms of standing in queue or waiting for a few days to an instant way of now, how do we get banks? I mean, since you asked, I mean, I still remember in my first college, it took 2, 3 days to get a bank account, and now, as you rightly said, it is there in 2, 3 minutes. Just
But
an
not
example
only
of how
that,
that.
only if I could interject there again, right? Today we've developed products where there are cameras at the main entrance of the bank when you walk in. Yeah, so when you walk in, you have the image sensors capturing your image. Yeah, maybe I might look different in this and the picture advertorial that you guys created, but with in spite of that, it will do facial recognition. By the time you enter the door and go to a personal banker, the personal banker will have all information about you,
Yes.
stating, hey, this looks like Satish Rajarathnam with 90% probability. These are 5 different pictures that we captured. Because he's Satish Rajarathnam, he works in this company, this role. He's working for 25 years and maybe potentially earning so much. He already has a personal loan or car loan or a bank loan. If he's here for mortgages, this is the max that we can do at this percentage, right? Everything is there plated. So you don't have to wait, ask a question and wait for the personal bank to even respond after 20 minutes. They will have all the information, right? You just go there, it's there in a platter for them.
Interesting. I think in a way it makes life easy, but as you rightly said, there are other points that we need to cater to. From an HR point of view, I mean, there are a lot of interesting stuff you did touch upon in terms of, from a recruitment process, how do we have the JDs through video? Of course, today, if you look at some of the job portal, it does ask the candidate also, instead of putting a resume, do you want to give a video interview of yourself? From a recruiter point of view, how it makes user friendly, and those video offer letters and videos from the leaders of offer letter very insightful that you did share. And the combination of AI and ML in terms of having the employee experience, learning experience were very aptly shared. And I think you also leveraged upon your ability to have that take us to the delusion, right? Talking about those employee experience and recognition in a different world. You did bring about those experiences by taking us to that world. So thank you for sharing that. Having said that, now what we will invite the participants is, we do have few pre-submitted questions, but we would invite whatever forums that you're attending as LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, just put those questions in the chat. I'm sure those questions will pop up to our team here, and we'll be happy to take a few questions. We do have good 30 minutes with us, so we can make use of the time that we have with us for interactive questions. I will start with some of the pre-submitted questions, Satish, if that is okay in terms of taking it up. Now, looking at the kind of industry that our chapter will have, you will definitely have certain industries who are at the start of thinking of what technology we should, and then there are a few industries who would have pioneered and moved on. What will be your advice in terms of companies which are really looking at, let us do the transformation today? Where do you think they should start, and how they can build it over gradually, Satish? We'll start from there.
So Murli, with my gray hair experience that I've gained over a period, uh, yesteryears, if you ask me 3, 4, 5 years, everybody would want to jump in and say, look, I want to invest on blockchain technology, I want to invest on ML, I want to invest on AR, VR, and so on. But not many had seen the light through the tunnel, right? Um, but the way that I would want to respond to your question is, look, pick what is your organizational need, right? Which phase of growth that your organization is today? Is the phase at which your organization is building capacity or building capability, or they're in a growth trajectory, or they're sustaining, or they're building value principles and cultures and EVPs and so on? What phase is your organization is, and what is the need? Unless you determine that, one on a lighter side, guys, you will not get CFOs approving huge budgets for these technology shifts, right? Unless you showcase the ROI, saying, look, um, we are looking at a technology that will minimize my sourcing timeline, and hence my cost per hire, my cost of hire is going to get reduced, and I will save X dollars if I invest this amount. That is your use case that you're proposing to your CFO. So all that I'm saying is, first, determine what do you want to pick as a battle, what do you want to pick as an opportunity for your function, whether it's HR, talent, under the gamut of anything, under the gamut of digital, right? You pick up specific areas, prioritize those. If I were to do minimal effort, maximum impact, how do I go ahead and solution it? Say, for example, if I were to post a job, I get thousands of profiles hitting the portal, right? Now, if I let my sourcing team sit and call every person individual and do that, look at the amount of time that I'm putting in as effort. Can I bring in a bot which will do the calling, which will ask 5, 6 short, straightforward questions specific to technology, location, willingness to join others? That's going to make life easier. So bot calls every minute. The bot calls at least 3 to 4 calls. Get off it, right? It keeps attempting it. It does about 3 to 4 attempts. You can kind of tune that way too. That makes life simpler. So the bot does thousands of calls rather than having a large team sitting and doing screening for your profile. The bot does it. By you getting sourcing optimization, these sources can become gooders. Yeah, you can push them on to do the offer process and so on and so forth, right? So pick and choose where you want to focus. Yeah, you want to bring in, you want to build culture in the organization. You want to look at a fantastic LXP model that will use ML algorithms to kind of show the learning path for you, the proficiency path for you. Utilize that. That's in a capability building phase of the organization. Yeah, capacity building phase, right? You want to just build in numbers and put a headcount out there, and keep recruiting people. What do you do from a recruitment perspective, right? So pick and choose priorities. What will impact organization? What will impact financials, top line, bottom line? Then look at finding a solution from a tech perspective. That would go very well rather than saying I'm going to whitewash technology. I'm going to transform my current legacy platform with the latest AI tool in the market. We will hardly utilize that at all, right? Honestly, most of us would have in the organization have a HCM today, right? How many modules of that HCM you use on a day-to-day basis? How many of us have wrappers around it? How many of us have applications outside of it and only push the data back to HCM as only a data storage? Right? Most of us are in that reality today, right? So let's not invest on heavy system and utilize only 15-20% of it. Rather, pick and choose the battle and accordingly solution it and invest on the technology transformation you're looking at.
Thanks for that. Well, you did indicate there is a kind of automation which could not take away a few jobs. You did mention about 40% automation which could take away a few jobs. From your insight, what kind of new job roles or industries do you anticipate will be emerging as part of this technology advancement?
So let me go back, and I've written that in my book as well. If I were to be looking at a role shift from where it is, I will look at I want to be a AI ML specialist. Yeah, how do I kind of create algorithms that will make my talent life much easier? How do I um, write algorithms to make my customers engagement with us much better? How do I make my organization's process procedures much easier using AI ML processes, right? So if you look at it from just an HR product solutionist, we are moving into a AI ML SME. That could be one role we can look at, right? What the technology, the IT industry has today is also applicable to us from a functional standpoint. So that could be one. Most critical today, data is the gold mine. I wouldn't say data is the next gold mine, right? Data is the gold mine today. So from that perspective, how can I become a chief analyst of data, talent data? So that could be a role. In fact, that could come on movie, right? So AI ML specialist, you have the data analysts who could do predictive analytics to a large extent, saying, hey, with the current population, with the current pyramid, with the current attrition, your margins would be as much. If you were to do that as an HR professional, look at the impact that you will create, right? Gone are the days where we say HR on the table, right? We don't have to demand. It's just commanding, right? You bring in that onto the table. So the role that I envisage is also about data architecting, right? Bringing in analytics and so on and so forth. So that could be another one. Looking at, we also have specialty, the RPOs or the RPOs from recruitment, right? The RPA modeling, right? How much of your day-to-day procedural stuff that you move left shift, that's what I spoke about, into robotic automation, right? You'll become a HR functional RPA specialist. So guys, most of these are technology oriented that I'm bringing in, right? It could also be, I'm a EXP specialist, right? I'm an employee experience specialist. How do I create those employee experiences? We have a team that does a phenomenal job in our company. Like I said, bringing in metaverse and engaging people, not just employees, but the entire family. Yeah, that needs a creative mindset altogether, right? In fact, UI UX, we talk in IT, but then we need talent UI UX specialists as well, right? How do you do branding for talent? That's another job occupancy as well, right? That needs a different breed altogether. You need to think through from the other side. Like I said, the thumb impression, get your SIM card activated. What will tick a potential candidate? What will tick an employee to log in and complete a compliance course, for example, right? You need to think through from their shoes and try to solution it appropriately, and not just keep sending emails saying, hey, there is a compliance program you need to close by 30th of June or whatever it is, right? Gone are the days. All those are gone. Everything is now push right now, right? So that's happening. The other most significant one is about the transformation specialist, right? Today we are talking about, in most cases, back to office, right? Or hybrid working or remote working engagement specialist, right? Look at the number of managers who've been working remotely for the past 2-3 years. How do we build their skill set to be much more dynamic in terms of them managing their teams? Yeah, as an HR, as a consultant, you are supposed to, or expected to, enable managers to kind of do that hybrid management or remote team management and execution to a large extent, right? How can you be a collaborative change management expert? Because when you're remote, most of us know what happens, right? There will always be two sides to the coin. When I say, look, let's do this way, the other guy sitting on the other side will say, no, let's do it this way. So how do you become that moderator, right? How do you make them collaborate together for a particular common goal of the organization? That's what we talk about, bringing in like a Scrum team or an Agile transformation that you're talking about, right? So in fact, a Scrum or an Agile is a way of work that we do in our organization. So our organization is structured as tribes and squads to a large extent. HR teams are run by pods, right? We do hiring basis Scrum teams, right? When I say that, you will have a sourcing guy, you will have a recruiter, you'll have a practice manager sitting there, you'll have an architect sitting there, you'll have HR onboarding person, you'll have HR partner sitting there, right? All of them go in, they pick up that week's need, completed, move on to the next week. So that's the way that we've transformed ourselves. So more and more, the roles are going to be collaborative in nature, Murli. It will all be future-proofing talent, and it will not be siloed individual contribution anymore. You cannot say, I'm a comp and bench specialist for the next 2 years, right? You're a reward and recognition certified person, but unless you loop that into the talent mix, you'll only be siloed to a large extent. Today, the same example, if IT folks are there, they'll be able to appreciate it, right? Gone are the days we are saying, look, I'm a Java developer. It's all gone. You are a fungible full stack engineer, whether you have Java X or Java Y, whether it's Angular or Node or React or whatever it is, unless you keep upskilling, cross-skilling yourselves, you will not be relevant in the industry. So that's applicable to us as well from an HR perspective. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Just building on the concept of transformation you just mentioned from your experience, because whenever we bring in a technology, right, there is also a need for acceptance from the people inside, because sometimes people are happy doing the way they are, right? It requires certain thinking, and at the same time, it's also a cultural aspect that brings it. So from your experience of transformation technology, could you share some light in terms of how successfully HR can actually pioneer any transformation they go through? Because many times when you think of bringing new technology, making the people accept and embrace change is always a big challenge that we always hear. So if you'd like to share a few insights from your experience.
Murli, we're going to go back to old school of thought, right? In our days, sorry, I'm putting you into the same category like mine. In our days, right, when an employee engagement survey or dipstick survey is run through, what will we do? We'll get the analysis done and everything, and then we create what we call as, in those days it's very famous, right? FGD. Yeah, we call it, we create focus group discussion. We pick up samples of all of these people who have scored high, not so high, very low, and so on. We create focus groups around that and saying, Guys, you tell us what is your understanding of compensation philosophy. You tell us what, according to you, should be our performance management process. So why don't you tell us what is what? So to your point, Murli, the transformation works wonders if we involve people, right? Today, that's why most of the IT companies and even other companies are thriving. The simple reason being they all work as a collaborative one team. And that's what I keep saying, as a scrum team. People from different walks of life, different functions come together and they work together for a common purpose, and then they disband and move on for another opportunity area. Yeah, Murli. So to your question, that's the answer. If you want a change to happen smoothly or a transformation to happen, bring in the stakeholders. The key to this is, I'm going to throw in another jargon, right? In design thinking, the first step of design thinking is what it is, right? We empathize with people. What do? We go to the stakeholders and the users and ask him, hey, today, what is your problem? Yeah, you go to a line function and say, today, what is your problem? He's going to say, hey, look, I raised this requisition last week. I have not got the talent deployed till this week. I am bleeding. I need help. Right? That's from that side. Look at it from a manager perspective. The manager would say, hey, I need a data set of my team from the time they've joined. What is their utilization? What is their learning? What is their performance score? Right? What is the variable pay we've paid? How many times you give an increment? Can you give me that? Today, I bet not all of us in this call will have the data handy, because we will jump on to every single application. Learning quotient will have to go to a learning platform, right? Compensation will go to HCM. Likewise, you'll have multiple systems to put at. An HR business partner will struggle to put all these, and it'll take a day or two to go back and write to the manager saying, here's your data. So manager's problem is this, right? So you bring in a manager, you bring in an end user, you bring in someone from leadership and say, guys, if this is the issue, what if I bring in a technology that in a click of a button will give you employee 360 view? You don't have to kind of rework on any of the data. This 360 view wrapper will pick up data from multiple sources through an API, and I will have an AI algorithm out there which will only give meaningful insights to you and not all the fields that are there in your HCM, right? And say, if you click off a button, if I want to see my top performers, it will give my top performers, and not only that, it will say why they are top performers, right? 2022, Murli has done exceptionally well in contributing towards a social cause, right? Ajij would have done exceptionally well on delivering products on time, right? Both of them have done significantly well in terms of upskilling themselves. So what are the insights that are getting generated as well? Mind you, all these information are from different technology platforms you're even talking about. Yeah. So Ajish, to your point, transformation will happen if you bring in the stakeholders together, get the opportunity areas or the problem statement from them, try to solution it, which will help them better perform their current role. And that's where that we work on. Instead, you go back and say, hey, I'm buying a COT product, I'm buying a tool which will transform everything, right? You buy as an HR, and then you deploy and then give it to them. You say, hey, what tool is this? I only do more transactions than what I used to do, right? So it is all about solutioning based on the need. So don't go whitewash with technology stack out there. Pick up specific areas, bring in specific stakeholders. Best way to do is go to the drawing board, do the design thinking. Yeah, empathize, solution, prototype, execute it, and then come back to the same cycle. Yeah, if that is done in silos, if that is done in pockets, I'm sure transition will happen in no time. Your stakeholders is going to come back and say, when is the next technology change that you're going to do? Yeah, that's what happened to us in most cases. Yeah.
So engaging stakeholders and going to drawing board was nothing that we definitely have to embrace. We'll now pick up few questions that we hear from the audience. So thanks audience for those questions, but please keep it coming. We are happy to pick as much as we can in the next few minutes. So here is a question from Vipin. How can we use the emerging technologies in the employee welfare activities, training and development, which are mostly psychologically and socially driven management?
Yeah. Before getting into the welfare and the learning, right? We've I think The next gen is also going to be social performance management, right? How is your peers rating you? How is your manager rating you? And you get to see all of those in a click of a button, right? Gone are the days where we used to do 1 year, end of 1 year appraisal cycles, right? Most of us would have stopped it in cases, right? Gone are the days where we've started doing every quarterly what we call as check-ins. Every quarter you go check in and saying, hey, you've done well here, you can do well here, you can learn here, this is your score. Yeah. So how do you get that going to a large extent, right? So from a performance management standpoint, you can just go to the T and use the emerging technologies today in terms of what we call as quick check-ins. If customer gives a kudos to you, that check-in will add on to this to saying, hey, Satish, you have a customer feedback, a good feedback, this will be added on to your performance document. So that's from a performance standpoint. Now, adding on to the welfare activities, right? Today, like I said, the other example that I gave is we engage our employees through metaverse. Yeah. We have some popular artists coming in and standing there, in a virtual world and taking us through a cruise ship. Yeah. Taking us through, hey, you enter this room. This room is all about health and wellness, right? You want to be health conscious. You enter this room. We get into that room and you get to see yoga, tai chi, and all of those stuff. You start performing. You click on it. You can start doing it, right? The virtual assistant will make you repeat it, and you can perform back and forth. One of the days where you hire a yoga instructor, bring him or her to the floor, Friday activity. Like, think about it. We've done this in the past, right? The By the time you assemble every employee from their call, from their email and everything, it itself will take about 15-20 minutes from a 1 hour session. 15-20 minutes, our expert will do some session. Few will repeat, few will not repeat, and then they will go off. But today, everything is virtual. Everything is in the metaverse, guys. Everything is on the cloud, literally on the cloud, quote unquote, right? So that is one aspect you can look at from a health and a wellness perspective. Given all these criteria, we've partnered with a couple of platforms where the doctor's appointment is taken using our portal internally. You don't have to go to a clinic. You don't have to call someone. It's all done in a click of a button. Not just for you, but also for the parents that you're talking about, right? So that's how simplified that we made, thanks to the team that put in heart and soul into this and worked in our organization. Yeah. So anything that you could think of, like I said, what are those areas that will touch the nerve of your employees? I think you should focus on that to do a technology transformation, in my view. Health, wellness, DEI, learning experience, employee experience, right? All of you that you called out, Vipin, right? How do you personalize your learning? Gone are the days where learning has to be 2 days in a classroom anymore. Can I learn when I wanted to learn? I will be really good in learning Friday evening and Saturday morning, and I'm a very bad learner on Monday morning and evening or whatever, because I respond to emails as much as I could, right? How do you kind of create that experience from a learning platform standpoint, right? So those are something that we need to watch out. And if that answers, I know it's a pretty long-wounded answer, but again, it depends on what is the investment you want to make, what is the problem you're trying to resolve from a health, wellness, welfare perspective, right? Think about this, right? You have a tool from a insurance perspective. Yeah. If your age group that you have in your organization is between 20 to 25, 22 to 24, their needs on insurance will be for themselves. Can I get a gym discount? Yeah. Can I get a discount on anything else? If I want to buy a bike, can I get an insurance paid, prepaid, and other stuff? But when you move from a 24 to 28 to 30, you will have a family. Can I get a spouse coverage? Can I get a child coverage, and so on from an insurance standpoint? So when you go 30 and above, you will have multiple dependents, your in-laws, your parents, right? How do I customize my insurance package out there? Can all these be done basis some AI algorithm and say, hey, you know what? In your team, there are 20 people, 10 of them are 40 plus like Satish. For them, the package should be this. That is what they would appreciate. 20% are 24 to 25. For them, get them a discount on a gym or a healthcare product and so on, because that's what they would prefer doing, right? The rest are mid-age group, do this for them, right? I think that's the way we solution, if I were to put it that way, and make it hyper personalized for every employee in the company. And that we can do that today using technology that we have. Yeah. Sorry, Murli.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. I mean, you did mention about use of technology, at the same time leveraging data in terms of running some of the program. That was insightful looking at that combo. We'll now pick a question from Anish. It's about would like to hear views around you from your side in terms of using technology and science to spread updated information or concepts that HR needs to know from a future of work in 21st century.
I will split this into two-part questions, right? Uh, my 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 first reflection, correct me if I'm wrong and keep me honest. My first reflection is HR has to stay relevant from a technology perspective, right? We still feel traditionally, I'm a strong believer too, we still traditionally feel core HR is there for the next 10 years. Yes, it will be, but will that be in the same form, shape, and the attributes that we contribute? May not be, right? And hence technology is going to be the key player in bringing in, transforming HR processes, policies, procedures, and taking them to the end user. How many employees will read through your HR policies? It's there in some point in time, some portal somewhere, right? Not many would read. But today, a bot, a cobot in your intranet, right? Go talk about what is my leave application process. In one line, your avatar will say, "Hey, Satish, welcome back. This is your leave policy, and by the way, this is your leave balance. Would you want to apply ABC leave?" Look at the way that we are simplifying it. And for that, the question that you had asked about, one should appreciate that we need to look at bots, cobots, chatbots, whatever name you want to call them. But from an automation standpoint, you should be aware that we can create a bot, or we can work with a bot to make this part of process automated. For that, we need to understand and appreciate and kind of read through that. Yes, for these functionalities, there are bots that would do plug and play for me. For these specific issues, I have an LXP that will take care based on ML and algorithm that we talk about, which will give me my learning quotient and learning growth in the organization. For these specific areas, my performance threshold, it will aggregate data from multiple sources within my laptop and say, look, this is your performance document. Yeah. So guys, there are technology available for every walk of life. Like I said, again, from a attract standpoint, you have a sourcing technology. From a screening standpoint, you have video technology. From a recruitment standpoint, you have offers and you have the fake identifying proctored technologies as well. From an offer rollout and pre-check standpoint, mind you don't have to wait for BGVs, which is done 15-day, 20-day after a candidate is onboarded. Today, you have companies that provides a solution even before offer. In just about 2 minutes, they will say whether this guy is moonlighting, whether the experience that he or she has given is real or not, or fake. Guys, in just about 2 minutes, and click off a button. Yeah. So all that I'm saying is pick and choose your area. And for each one of those areas, there are diamond dozen technology solutions that are available. Then try to marry it. So again, quickly to summarize, guys, every life cycle process in HR is now peaking with generative AI platforms. Yeah. So ChatGPT is just one of it in my view. Right? Though it came into the big bang, ChatGPT is just one of it. Yeah. You have Kano, you have JD writers, you have everything. You have tools that will say, hey, Satish has written this profile using a generative AI platform. You also have a tool on the other side which will pick up my profile and make sure it is human written like. Guys, mind you, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction too. So today, technology has grown to that extent where you're a maker, but you also have a checker that will kind of redo the maker. Yeah. So be a little watchful. You need to tread with caution when you jump onto technology as well. Don't blindly jump in and say, for sourcing, I'll do this bot immediately. Do a pilot, like I said, empathize, identify the problem, solution it, prototype it, and then do the cycle from a design thinking perspective, guys. That way you will get to know what technology will suit in at what point in time in the entire cycle that you're looking at from an organization standpoint. Yeah.
Thanks for that. You did mention about the risk part from an implementation technology where there is a lot of reliance of data leakage, and the element of cyber security. So, what steps do you think as policymakers know that we should actually address, some of the potential ethical concerns we could come in as we integrate the technology? From your insight, what do you think policymakers should actually focus upon?
Look, because we've been talking about AI all across, right? Let me talk about that. Now, we need to have an ethics committee in the first place. Like we have the POSH committee, like we have the cybersecurity, like we have all other committees within the organization. You should have an ethics committee specifically for AI, because data privacy is long gone in my view. Today, most of us in Facebook, we've kind of loaned our entire history to public, unless you protect it, and so on and so forth. And though Facebook gives that, or any other social media gives that feature, how many of us even literally even see that, right? We want to be as open as possible. From the time we wake up to brush, to run, to jog, to play with the pet, to eat meal, everything is there right now. So privacy is very, very critical, right? Not just for from an employee perspective, but it is also from a threat standpoint as well. And hence ethics is very, very critical. When you go behind and identify a tech platform, right, we need to ensure all the checks and balances are put in place. Have a cybersecurity guy, have a data privacy guy, have your CIO sitting there, have a CRO sitting there. Make sure every aspect of your SaaS product, on the cloud product, is kind of covered legally. Indemnify. You kind of call out every possible way of data leakage, right? You have the California law, you have the GDPR, you have the SOX compliance, you have all of these compliance. Make sure all of these are complied to the technology that you've identified and going to implement. Yeah. So ethics is something there. Data privacy is something out there. Your AR, VR, and the way your mindset shifts, right? It'll always become habitual, right? How many of us, even today, as soon as we wake up, look at our WhatsApp or a Facebook or a LinkedIn? It's become habitual, right? So that would mean we should also be very clear from a wellness perspective. Do we have psychologists, in the organization? This would become habit by default, right? So guys, let's just watch out on all of these aspects. I think these are something that we need to watch out for from a technology shift standpoint, right? It's not just the policies. There are multiple geography based checks which are already there. We'll have to link it accordingly too, yeah, which is very, very critical in my view.
Yeah, and I think it was timing that the question also partially covered what Jyoti has just tagged as a question in terms of the risks and the challenges that we have. Uh, DEI, I mean, this is another common thing that most of us actually speak about today in terms of ensuring that we have a diversity, equity, and inclusive workforce. Your insights on how technology could help enable an HR department to create that diverse and inclusive workforce.
Look, in my view, DI also plays a significant role. As when I say, technology plays a significant role for DEI, right? What kind of analysis that we do with our HCM data, yeah, with the folks that we've hired in the past, because as a very rudimentary example, right, identifying a gender is not mandatory. It's a choice. We leave it to the incumbent to do it, right? So how do you capture data? How do you analyze saying there are so many of them have not qualified gender, right? Then what do we do next? Yeah. Use the data sets to again see how many of them are from which ethnicity, right? This will only add value to the organization: gender, ethnicity, race, and other stuff. Look, we are falling low, we are falling high. How do we do all of those stuff? One. Second, look at the workplace scenario. I have so many differently abled people. Now, is my environment enabled for them to kind of walk in and walk out of the office? Do I have washroom that has a ramp in it? If I have so many people in this floor with disability, have I enabled this feature right from a swipe card not being high to being low if someone is in a wheelchair, for example? Yeah, those decisions are also taken using technology that will be applicable to DEI to a large extent, in my view as well. Yeah, how do we look at performance evaluation? Yeah, for from a DEI perspective, can I use technology to kind of propel it? Yes, right. Like I said, the real estate changes that you need to make from a office space standpoint, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. Now, also to go back from a sourcing standpoint, right? Can I do resume parsing specifically on DEI based initiatives? Yes, technology is going to bring in that as well, or it's already there. Yeah, technology will scan through all the keyword search and find out, look, these are the guys who are differently able. Can we look at them on priority and not make them wait for interviews or lineup and so on and so forth, guys? So it's just the way that we think through, guys. um, we can put technology to any walk of life that we're doing, especially from an HR space today we are talking about. Yeah, and DI is significant. We put that to best use in what we do at this point in time, right? Like I said, these are areas that we've done internally too, to kind of fine tune the ecosystem, the ergonomics, from a sourcing standpoint, and all of those stuff. Yeah, it could also be the way we enable learning. So if you have someone who's hearing impaired, right? So how do you impart learning? Yeah, make changes to that, right? All of these technology plays a pivotal role to help enable this ecosystem, in my view.
We recognize that we are at top of the hour, but would like to pick one last question from you, Satish. I mean, as HR professionals, many times we are caught in the times of running our day-to-day activity or focusing on business or some of the administrative efforts that we are actually catered to. From your experience and continuous learning approach, your tip for us, in terms of how do we ensure we also gear up to the technology changes around us, take that time for us to update of what's happening at the same time. Now, be adapted to the technologies coming our way from your experience.
Got it, guys. Uh, Again, don't want to sound Gyanish, but the point is, whilst we hire full stack engineers for the IT firms, and for my company, and as a team that we hire, we as HR, the way that I envision the team is to be, we should be full stack HR, right? When I say full stack HR, not from a tech perspective, I'll come to that in a bit, Murli, if I'm going to have another 30 seconds on this. Have you understood business acumen? Have you understood macroeconomics? Have you understood microeconomics? Have you tried to marry these three? If the world is moving in this direction, if the geographies are moving in this direction, if my business is moving in this direction, where is the intersection that's happening? And for that intersection, what is needed to propel growth? That is where I call as full stack HR. If we were able to understand, we be at the crossroad of business nuance, I think the rest will follow suit. Else, we will only be take functional silos, right? I will only be hiring technology stuff, or colleagues will be only doing compensation only for technology people. They will all be siloed unless you know the entire factory model right from start to end product, right? I think our relevance will diminish significantly. So the first part to your question, first part of the answer to your question is, Murli, we ourselves have to be full stack HR, right? Again, I'm saying with all due credence, we have folks who've gotten gotten their degrees in HR and so on. They know everything right from hiring to recruitment to training and development to performance to common philosophy and other stuff. I'm not even talking about functionality. I'm only talking about understand macro nuances, understand micro nuances, understand your business growth and trajectory. I think that's where full stack comes into picture. And that's when you will solution better. And on the other side, guys, every day is a learning, right? I learn, personally, I learn every weekend, I learn one part of technology. How do I use NLP? How do I write an algorithm myself? That's why, in fact, I've written a book on AI and its application. Yeah, though I've written books around organization structure and HRM and other stuff. But what gave me much more excitement is about writing talking about deepfake analysis, talking about NLP. How does NLP work? Right? What is heuristics in the entire AI ML space that you're talking about, right? Those give me the excitement, right? So keep learning I would say, even in millimeters from a technology perspective. You don't have to get to that depth of every function in technology, but at least get to know, hey, there is a new bot that's been launched today. What does this bot do for me? Hey, there is a new wrapper that's done which does video screening and throws me data. What is that all about? When you start doing that, in old days, again, we used to do Friday learning sessions, right? Friday end of the day, we call people and say, hey, what did you learn in the week? Why don't you share good practices? What in today's world we call as Scrum stand-up meeting or backlog meeting that happens every morning, right? I'm trying to kind of relate to those days and now, right? Not that I'm very old, but that I'm just saying. So let's start getting into old habits which will definitely lead you to be relevant for future, guys. That's my humble view to this entire stuff, right? Keep learning every day something new. Every week put in some effort. There are a lot of learning available abundant, right? Use chat gpt. Go to chat gpt and say what are hr technologies. You will get to see like tens and zillions of stuff that is out there. Even if you learn one in a day, you will get to kind of understand the rest coming forward in weeks to go. Yeah, so let's start utilizing the tool. There are a lot of tools available, there are a lot of platforms available, there are a lot of freebies available. YouTube is a phenomenal tool where you can learn a lot of technology and how it impacts. I think we should start doing that part of our learning as HR.
Thank you so much, Satish. I think the last 1 hour was really, in terms of taking us to a world of how technology could not really be enabled, at the same time ensuring that how we can be prepared in terms of gearing up to the technology. Glad that we are also doing, this session through multiple sessions parallel, leveraging technology, and perhaps there is more that we can do as we adapt. So, on behalf of NIPM Kerala chapter, we would like to again say thank you, Satish, for joining us. It was really insightful. Participants, the recordings will be available in all the social media forums that you are joining us. Feel free to tag us or Satish for any more questions that you have. We are more than happy to moderate and help it. Do stay tuned for our ongoing sessions. And thanks to all the NIPM Kerala chapter organizing members, for supporting our series of sessions. And thanks to our participants come on board. A key takeaway, looking at all the technology trends, I think Satish made a very powerful statement in between. It's time for HR not to demand, but HR to command the seat on the table, right? That will come when we are mastery of technology and when we can play around data. So let's move to that phase. With all that, thank you everybody for joining us, and let's stay tuned. Goodbye.